Welcome, everyone. If you've ever really looked closely at an ancient Chinese temple or maybe some incredible artifact in a museum, you've probably seen them. These powerful, mysterious, dragon-like creatures carved into stone and metal. Well, today, we're going to uncover their secret identities. This is the story of the dragon's 9 sons. All right, so here's our game plan. First, we're going to dive into where this whole legend even came from. Then, we'll meet the sons one by one, right in their natural habitats. We're talking about the guardians on buildings, the symbols of power and sound, and the icons of art. And finally, we'll tackle the big question: why do these myths still mean so much? So, let's start right at the beginning, with how this incredible myth was born. So, have you ever been looking at an ancient Chinese building and just noticed all these wild mythical creatures carved into the corners, the rooftops, the doors? They're definitely not just random decorations. Turns out each one has a name, a totally unique personality, and a very specific job to do. And the key to understanding them all lies in this classic proverb. See, these creatures are the legendary children of the great Chinese dragon himself, and each son inherited a very different piece of his father's power and personality. Now, what's really fascinating here is that the term 9 sons isn't meant to be taken literally. Scholars back in the Ming Dynasty used the number 9 because, in Chinese culture, it often stands for something more like many or a complete set. It was really their clever way of creating a system to explain and categorize all the different dragon-like figures they saw everywhere. So where did these many sons end up? Well, our first group found their calling as powerful guardians, literally carved into the architecture of the world to protect it, and in some cases, even hold it up. First up is Bixi. He looks kind of like a turtle, but with clear dragon features. And his whole deal? He loves carrying heavy things. Because of this incredible strength, you'll almost always find him at the base of these massive stone monuments, symbolically holding up the entire weight of history on his back. Now, look up to the rooftops, and you might just spot Chia Wen. He's this cool mix of a dragon and a fish, so he has a natural connection to water. He loves to stare out into the distance, so he's placed on the highest ridges of a building, not just to watch over it, but more importantly, to protect it from fire. Also looking out from way up high is Chao Feng. This one looks a bit like a phoenix and is a real adventurous spirit who also loves a good view. You'll find him perched on the corners of temple eaves, serving as a powerful symbol of majesty and a guard against any evil spirits that might be lurking. And finally, guarding the very entrance to a place, we have Jiao To. This son is a lot like a conch or a clam. He's a bit of a homebody, values his privacy, and does not like to be disturbed. Well, that reclusive personality makes him the absolute perfect symbol for security. That's why you'll find him on front gates and door knockers, keeping the outside world right where it belongs, outside. But not all the sons were tied to buildings. The next group we're going to meet became living symbols for much bigger, more abstract ideas, like power, sound, and even justice itself. Okay, so this is Pulao. He might look small, but his roar is supposedly the loudest of all his brothers. The legend goes that he was terrified of whales and would just scream his head off whenever he saw one. So, to make bells ring as loud as possible, ancient craftsmen had a brilliant idea. They carved Pulao as the handle on top, forever roaring at his nemesis. And now, meet the most aggressive of the brothers, Yazi. This guy has a super fierce, combative personality. He just loves to fight. So, naturally, his warlike nature made him the perfect symbol to etch onto the hilts and blades of swords and other weapons, adding to their ferocity and intimidation factor. And if you look at these two side by side, it's just fascinating. You've got two brothers, Palau and Yazi, and they both represent power. But one is the power of sound, a call or an alarm that can travel for miles. And the other is the raw power of physical force. They're really just two sides of the same coin. Then there's Bayan. He's got the look of a tiger and is a powerful symbol of righteousness and justice. It's said that he has the unique ability to tell good from evil, and that's exactly why his image is carved over the entrances to prisons and courtrooms, watching over everything with a fair and impartial eye. Okay, so we've gone from guardians of buildings to symbols of justice. Now we get to the final group of sons. You could call these guys the patrons of the finer things in life: art, music, literature, and even quiet reflection. Meet Suem Ni. This sun looks a lot like a lion, and he's a very patient, calm creature who just loves to sit still and enjoy the smell of smoke and fire. This tranquil, meditative nature makes him the perfect guardian for incense burners. You'll often see him depicted as the base where offerings are made. Next up is Chu Niu, who you could say is the artist of the family. He's a gentle soul who absolutely adores music. Because of this deep love for melody and harmony, you'll find his image carved onto the heads of traditional Chinese string instruments, almost like he's leaning in, listening intently to the beautiful music being played. And now for Tao Ti, who's one of the most famous of all the suns. He's this ferocious-looking creature defined by one single thing, a gluttonous, absolutely insatiable appetite. So you might be asking, why on earth would he be carved onto ritual food vessels? Well, he was there as a warning. His image was a constant reminder against greed and overindulgence. And finally, we have Fuxi, the scholar of the group. This dragon-lion hybrid has a deep, deep love for literature and knowledge. You'll often find him coiled around stone tablets, or steles, that commemorate great histories or poems, as if he's symbolically safeguarding the wisdom carved into the stone for all time. So, after meeting all these incredible suns, from the super strong Bixi to the scholarly Fuxi, we gotta ask the big question, why does this myth still resonate so powerfully today? Well, when it comes right down to it, this is so much more than just a collection of cool monsters. It's really a sophisticated symbolic language. Each sun's personality perfectly dictates his placement, and that's what turns an everyday object, like a door knocker or a bell, into something legendary. This myth connects the divine world to the human one, embedding these core cultural values like justice, strength, and art right into the very fabric of daily life. So the next time you find yourself looking at a temple, a statue, or a museum piece from China, look closer, because now you have the key to a hidden language carved right there on the surface. Now that you know their stories, which son of the dragon will you look for first?